So I'm going to go ahead and shoot on over to BuzzFeed, of all places. I kind of shocked that I went there myself. But this is very applicable to where we are in the world right now. So I wanted to mention this one. This is a little outside the realm of maybe what I would normally talk about, but it's one that I think flows with a lot of the stuff that I do talk about, and kind of ties into where we were. I think it was 2 weeks ago, I covered the story about the cops that were being replaced by illegal immigrants, or the Dreamers or DACA folks or whatnot, and that they were losing good cops because of bad policy. They were not being treated well, and they're going to be replaced with bad cops. And I went on a rant about that, about how that's very, very true in all professions. When you lean on and you push your hard workers, your reliable workers, your good workers, and you pump the brakes when it comes to the bad workers, or the ones that are always late or don't do as much, and not necessarily bad, I guess, but the underperformers, and you treat them the same as the others, and you don't get on them, but you put more weight on the ones that do the stuff because they're going to do it. That's not how you treat employees, and that's how you push away the good ones. So we're going to look here, and this is about teachers, and I've got mixed feelings on teachers, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too. But this is a spot on take, and again, a little shocked that I'm using BuzzFeed for this. But we're going to go through this entire article. It's not very, very long. And it's from a TikTok that a teacher put out. And it's got some comments in here. So we're going to run through this together. So again, from BuzzFeed, it says, education is unbearable. Here's why this newly retired teacher thinks teaching is a dying profession. It says, I can no longer deal with the new type of parent and the new type of child that is a product of the parent that I am trying to teach. Get ready. This is going to be a fun ride right here. And this may step on some people's toes. It says, being a teacher can be a difficult job, and after 24 years in the profession, Brenda C. officially retired, but not before telling her TikTok audience why. So a teacher having a TikTok, what is it? She's been teaching for 24 years. The truth about teaching 42. I don't know what that number has anything to do. Maybe her age. Anyways, TikTok is TikTok, so there's something to be said about that too, I guess. But it says it is unbearable, and that is why there's a teacher shortage. In the video, which has received over 1.4 million views and 9,000 comments, the 60-year-old, okay, so that's her age, the 60-year-old middle school teacher from California starts the TikTok explaining how education has changed so much over time that it has become unbearable. Brenda says, I have seen education change in 24 years, and it hasn't changed for the better. And a lot of it has to do with parenting or lack thereof. Oh my goodness. Lack thereof. That's what my subtitle, I want somebody to turn subtitles on, closed captioning on for me. I am so redneck, country, southern. I'm sure it does stuff like that to me. I probably look like, if you read the transcript that it produces, I probably sound like a clone of Joe Biden. I know what I'm saying. I'm not really slurring my words because I don't have the cognitive ability. I'm just redneck. Moving on. It says, in the TikTok, she then addresses how some parents send their students to class without supplies such as pens, pencils, books, and notebooks, which ultimately affect learning time. That, paired with interruptions in the classroom that Brenda described as insurmountable, makes teaching feeling virtually impossible. The interruptions are insurmountable, so trying to teach is virtually impossible. Yeah, I've got a child in school. She's 11. She's about to go to the middle school. And I know we make sure she has her supplies. And when the teacher says, oh, we need Kleenexes for the class, we send Kleenexes. Hand sanitizer, we send hand sanitizer. Now, when it comes to, we need cookies and we need this, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We on a budget too. We need volunteers. I got a job. Let them stay-at-home folks do it. But when it comes to supplies that I know teachers have to come out of pocket for, or the school has to try to support somehow, or other parents have to try to do it, I try to do my part. I'm not perfect. by any means, but I want to make sure my child is taken care of. And sometimes that means that the class is taken care of by having those other supplies as well. So I understand that, because I know she comes home saying that other kids don't have their supplies and they run out of this and that. So I get it. I know that they're doing this. Says she then compares teaching to being a babysitter. Absolutely. Saying that it's not an over-exaggeration to say that teachers have to put out fires all the time. The middle school teacher explains how she can no longer put up with some of the new parents she has to work with. Brenda says in the video, I can no longer deal with a new type of parent and the new type of child that is a product of the parent that I am trying to teach. And we all do is we're putting out. Okay, so this is just terribly putting what she's saying. Okay, so here's the pictures. I feel like this is a picture, but there's the pictures, class. Let's scroll to the story. As Brenda has observed, some students, don't judge me. I see you judging me. I see you. I see you. As Brenda has observed, some students seemingly don't care about school because their parents don't. As she puts it, if parents cared, she would see students in the classroom who did as well. To elaborate, Brenda told BuzzFeed that before, parents worked as partners with teachers and that they were more accountable for their child's learning and behavior in their classroom. Now it appears that some homes are child-centered, meaning the kids are in charge. As a result, students take that untouchable attitude into the classroom. Brenda says that not only are some parents seemingly not involved in their child's education, but they also don't respect the profession. Aside from the classroom learning, the 60-year-old teacher told BuzzFeed that some parents don't appear to be teaching their children the basic life skills, such as how to self-regulate, how to act in social situations, how to speak to an adult, how to manage their emotions, and how to respect physical boundaries. And I will stop right there for a second and say that some of that stuff, if you add like how to be on time, some of that stuff they will say is racist. Because, black culture, this and that. Or maybe it's sexist because boys and girls are different. Or you could even say, well, it's ableist because some people have ADHD and some people have this and that. It's, I think, reasonable to expect that students can come into a classroom on time, sit in their desk, be quiet, and listen. Now, how well they do is a spectrum, right? That the teacher can't necessarily directly control. Now, they can directly impact, of course, but they can't control it. But what the kids can control more than anything else, and what the parents can help control, is get your kid to school on time. Teach them they better sit their butt in that chair, be quiet, and respect the teacher. Now, I understand there are reasons why we are skeptical about respecting teachers and the new teachers, so kind of firing back at her because of stuff that's getting pushed in our schools and in our classrooms, but that's a different thing altogether, which we may hit on here in just a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and continue listening to Miss Brenda over here. And it appears that Brenda is not the only one feeling this shift in teaching. Among the over 9,000 commenters on her TikTok, other teachers voiced their opinions, with one user saying, she's speaking the truth. I've been an educator for 32 years, pouring my heart and soul into every student, but things are different now. The disrespect from both children and parents. Says these comments do not pass the vice check. I'm a teacher with 6 years experience and already am looking for the road out. This is an entirely unsustainable job, and those who aren't in it don't get it, probably. Yeah, I hate to correct a teacher there. Love this message. She's speaking the truth. I've been an educator for 32 years, poured my heart and soul into every student, but things are different now. The disrespect from both children and parents. Truest description, babysitters. I left year 18. I signed up to teach and nurture students, not literally raise other people's children. Your 6th grader can't tie their own shoe, recite their address. What the hell? I get it. Look, parents do treat it like a babysitting or a daycare. Parents are absent in tending to their parenting responsibilities so often now. We'll touch on that more in a minute, but all these comments seem to check out as far as I'm concerned, and I know people that are teachers and they say kind of the same things. A lot of the ones that I know are newer teachers, so they haven't seen this big of a shift, but they definitely comment a lot of the same kind of sentiments here about the babysitting and they can't stay still and stuff like that. And I'll never forget the meme that showed like what was it, like the 70s or the 80s, where the teacher would hand little Jimmy a bad grade, and then the parents would be yelling at little Jimmy like, why are you getting bad grades? And then it showed a modern day picture of the same thing, but instead of the parents getting on to little Jimmy for getting a bad grade, they're getting on to the teacher for little Jimmy getting a bad grade. They're holding the wrong people accountable, and that's absolutely happening. In my house, my daughter is my friend. My daughter is my best friend. You know, my daughter gets a lot of freedoms, but she's earned those freedoms. She listens to me. She's responsible. She's mature. I'm very, very strict in certain areas. And then other areas, I do give her some freedoms because I have to start learning to trust her. She has to start having the ability to let me down, the ability to prove me right, to prove me wrong. If I don't give her those options and those abilities to do that, I'll never know. And at the time that I finally have to kind of let her go and be free in the world, I won't know if she's ready or not. So in my opinion, I've got to, you know, put some slack in that rope, give her a little freedom, give her a little distance, trust her, while also still being a parent, checking behind her, making sure she follows through with the things that she's supposed to, punish her, discipline her, restrict her, whatever it is, when she does wrong. But we have a great time. We can still be friends at the same time. I know some people are going to disagree with that. No, you can't be your kid's friend. Everybody has different parenting relationships with their children, and everybody has different parenting advice. I'm a parent first and a friend second. A lot of parents are friends first and barely even parents. My child fears me if she knows she did wrong. And I like that to a degree. I don't want her to fear me necessarily, like really, really fear me. But she knows if she does wrong and I find out, she's going to get it. Now, I don't beat my child, but she's going to get something taken away from her, or she's going to get a scolding or whatever. But sometimes we just hop in the car and we drive through some of the richer neighborhoods and we just dream build together. Like, you can have this if you work hard. It's a different approach to kind of reinforcing some of these lessons, right? So let's go on through here. This is some of the parents' feedback. This is some of the parents' feedback. It says, thank you for all you have done to educate our youth and contribute to their lives. You have made a difference. I grew up a horrible childhood, and I had a few teachers I will never forget who cared. Thank you for your service, man. Parents aren't parenting. They are just having kids and trying to be their friend. Like I was saying, I believe you can have a little bit of both, but you have to be the parent first. That has to be the main thing. You have to create kids crave structure. They crave discipline to a degree. I've got a couple of boys that are nephews or second cousins or whatever, that at times, and even now one of them that I can think of, doesn't have a father or a father figure in their life. So whenever I would come around, or my father would come around, or I'd see another male come around, they would just latch on to us, because there's something that little boys crave in a fatherly figure, in a man. Like, they need that guidance. They need that structure. It's intuitive to them. And to be fair, it breaks my heart when I see that, because I wish they had their father, or I wish they had a stable father figure in their life. One justifiably lost his father unexpectedly, unfortunately, and he's gone on. But I love him dearly, and anytime I get with him, I try to spend as much time and as much attention on him, and be his buddy, while also still setting boundaries and structure when I am around. Because even though I'm not his father, you still have to kind of say, all right, you're the child. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like, we can play, but there's a limit to certain things, buddy. Okay. And you can't talk to me like that. I'm an adult. So you still have to set those expectations. In my opinion, I hate when people give parenting advice, and I'm not trying to do that. But I do think it's important to have structure. Absolutely. Create structure, create expectations, and then follow through. Don't just let stuff slide. Okay. And maybe that comes from being a manager forever too, is you have to follow up behind them and make sure that the agreed upon structure and expectations are being executed. I don't know. That's just me. I think last comment here. I think it goes both ways. We parents and teachers need to come together to change. Some parents work 2 jobs, and I hate the days I can't spend 2 minutes with my kids because work. So this kind of leads me into some rebuttal to this a little bit, some accompaniment to this a little bit, if you will. And I just jotted some notes down. So I don't have like a script or a chat GPT. I just make some notes. So, excuse me. So this is what happens when parents treat teachers and schools like babysitters. This is what happens when parents put themselves, their social media, their devices, and their interest before their kids. This is what happens when teachers' hands are tied and can't discipline or penalize the unruly students due to fear of being fired or canceled by woke parents and the school board. This is what happens when good parents stand up for their kids. Back to this last comment, stand up for their kids, and then they're labeled as domestic terrorists and removed from PTO meetings. I do believe there's that need for parents and teachers to come together. You have a group of teachers that want nothing to do with the parents, school boards that want nothing to do with the parents. You got parents that want nothing to do with them, but they have to utilize them because they have jobs and they got to put their kids in school and whatnot. Or in that school, they can't put them in like private school or homeschool or whatever it may be. And then when you try to have parents speak up and you actually have parents caring and coming to the meetings, if they go against the narrative or the agenda of that particular school board, hey, we've got people in the federal government says these are domestic terrorists, get them out of here. And they're walking them out, police escort from these meetings. And it's ridiculous. Okay, these are our kids. They're not the school's kids. They're our kids. So to kind of go along with this, we have to take back raising our kids. And then we've got to make sure that the expectation is on them of how they are going to teach our kids and work with our kids and the environment they're going to create for our kids. That is where we do have input. So they need to listen to that too. But first, we better start being better parents for our kids. Parents need to go back to being parents and quit trying to be their kids' best friends. Teachers need to go back to teaching basic fundamentals and stop pushing LGBTQ ideology and all this other crap in the classrooms. And schools need to listen to parents, quit hiding things from them as they relate to their own children. And you've heard about that, where they can change their pronouns or start trying to get treatments for gender dysphoria or whatever it is. And the parents are never notified. That's bills are being pushed through, conversations are being had in school board meetings. That's a legit thing. So wake up, America. This is happening, and not just America. This is happening around the world. So wherever you are, okay. Remember, not only do we have a major presidential election coming up this November, but there seems to always be local school board, city council, and other seats up for election throughout the year. Find out when they are, get involved, or heck, even run yourself. Why not? The first words in the United States Constitution are, we the people. We the people. Never forget that it's our country, and the government and all its different facets work for us, not the other way around. Yes, parents need to step up and be better parents, but we all need to step up and start taking our country back in every way, shape, and form. We talked about the election earlier. Show up and vote. Take your friends, your family, talk to them, get them out there, go vote. Go to the school board meetings, go to the city council meetings. Look, we can sit at home, we can get on our computers right here, and we can bitch and moan all day long, and it will have little to no impact on change in our communities. If you want to see change, sometimes you have to be the change. And at minimum, you got to show up and just speak up. City council meetings, school board meetings, PTO meetings, parent-teacher conferences, whatever it may be, any elections for sure. But guys, all of this is us being complacent. We're letting other things raise our children. We're being distracted by these guys right here more than ever. We're letting these raise our kids, and heaven forbid the apps and the websites that our kids are going to that we don't even closely monitor. My kid has one of these that I pay very close attention to. She will not have a TikTok. She does not have a way to communicate with an adult human being. She has a child's app that only has certain people that we allow her to speak to on there. It is closely monitored. Closely monitored. I get notifications every single time she tries to download an app. Again, that's that I give her freedom, but I also have to follow through with my expectations and make sure that she is doing what she's supposed to do. I have to have my ways of like checks and balances, so to speak. Parents start being parents again everywhere in the world. Americans start being Americans again. Get out and vote in the elections. Participate in all these things that I was just talking about. We have to take our country back, and we have to do it now.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.